For Honor is actually a refreshing departure as far as Ubisoft's output is concerned. This is not an open-world action game with icons littering the minimap, which in turn must be unlocked by climbing and navigating towers. For Honor basically follows a melee combat system, and it is highly tactical. Simply button mashing your way through the game is not going to get you anywhere, and will result in almost certain death, wrapped into the veneer of an online multiplayer game, which in turn is wrapped into an online war simulation metagame. Thankfully, the game understands this, and right off the bat gently starts easing you into its world and mechanics. For Honor has some excellent tutorials, explaining not just how its basic mechanics work, but also how the flow of battles in a multiplayer game is structured, and how the larger war metagame functions. If you play its campaign, you're further treated to essentially an extended tutorial for each of the game's classes and factions. In For Honor, defense is as important as offense. If your enemy is attacking you, you need to know what direction the strike is coming in from, and block and fend it off appropriately. Simply spamming a button won't work. You need to orient your block in such a way that it cancels your opponent's blow. You can choose not to parry attacks and try to dodge away. Similarly, when you attack an opponent, you can't just try raining blows down on them. You need to watch how they're blocking your attacks and attempt to attack them from a different direction. Conversely, you could try breaking their parry and then simply slamming them into the wall or off the battlefield with your own momentum. And all this while you must also watch your own stamina, because if you ever run out, you become easy pickings for your opponent. But wait, there's more. For Honor gives you perks and feats, special moves you can activate in battle. Running low on health? Use your perk to regain some of it in battle. Feeling swarmed by enemies? Just activate your higher speed perk and hightail it out of there. Perks and feats are not actually available in all game modes, but where they are, they become just one more thing for you to keep track of. Once you've mastered the mechanics, you probably want to venture into the online modes. There are a whole lot of these. There's Duel, where you battle an enemy one-on-one, Brawl, which is a 2-on-2 variant of Duel, Domination, which is an objective-based multiplayer mode, charging you to take control of multiple objectives on the map and then keeping a hold of them, and Deathmatch, which is exactly what it sounds like and comes further in 2 variants. Duel and Brawl are arguably For Honor distilled to its core essence, just you and the enemy, playing a game of each player trying to outguess the other player. This is the mode where you need the most skill, the mode where you have to use the multiple finely crafted mechanics in the game to try and win against your opponent on sheer mastery of For Honor and nothing else. And while Brawl sort of cheapens that a bit, the mode basically becomes a game of both sides trying to whittle down the other side to just one player so they can then overwhelm him. Hardcore players who appreciate the finesse in For Honor will probably end up appreciating Duel mode the most. The problem of being swarmed and overwhelmed, however, is a persistent one in For Honor. The game's mechanics are fantastic. However, they are designed and tweaked best for 1-versus-1 combat. The minute you introduce more players into the fray, things get messy. Deathmatch and domination games become problematic, because the minute you find yourself taking on more than one player, you're effectively guaranteed to lose. You cannot win in a situation where you're battling 2 players at once. This problem is especially prevalent in Domination, where in addition to the players on the opposing team, you also have to contend with dozens upon dozens of soldiers, AI-controlled bots on the field at once. This creates a fundamental self-contradiction within For Honor. It has this intricacy of mechanics that works wonderfully well, but is undermined by the game's insistence on being the medieval equivalent of a multiplayer shooter. Don't get me wrong, Domination and Deathmatch are still fun modes, and there is a thrill to capturing an objective, and then fending off an enemy who comes to take it from you, winning by the width of a hair. But they are more susceptible to variables outside of the player's control, often feeling unfair as a result. It's also besought with a fair few other issues. It's early days for the game yet, but matchmaking and connectivity issues are surprisingly prevalent. I've never had so many connectivity issues in any of the other online games I play, across at least 4 other systems. It's also one of the few games where you can almost justify its online design, especially thanks to its persistent metagame. But after 3 straight disconnects right in the beginning of a deathmatch, I was pretty annoyed. I was never annoyed enough to stop playing it entirely, however. There is something strangely compelling about its mechanical depth and finesse, and with how it chooses to apply that to a larger scale with its multiplayer modes, and then to a larger scale still with its war simulation metagame. For Honor is not a perfect game by any means. The campaign's banality, the connectivity issues, the contradictions inherent within its very design ensure that, but it is most of all a fun game, and it is a game that has some real depth and soul to it.
And that'll be about it for this one. If you guys like what we're doing at Gaming Vault, please consider subscribing to our channel, and I'll see you guys on the next video.